Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm back with another video. Today I'm going to be doing a kind of Halloween themed video considering Halloween is 1 week away. And because we're all living in coronavirus hell, I figured why not just do a kind of list of all my favorite movies because we're all going to be staying home. There's not going to be trick-or-treating for kids and there's not going to be costume parties for, I guess, like teens and adults. I figured, you know what? These are my favorite Halloween movies. I literally have gone through half of this list already in this month because, you know, they're always showing the stuff on TV. But I figured if you're going to be home on the day, just get that stuff, get the assortment of candy from the store, get in some comfortable pajamas and watch Halloween movies all day or all night long. Halloween this year falls on a Saturday, I believe. And so I figured, what the hell, you know what? Just have fun with it, you know, especially if there's kids and, you know, you just want to make it fun for them. Halloween movies are always fun. And that's typically, honestly, how I spend most of my Halloweens. I never was a party person. I'm totally like a major introvert, you guys. I don't do parties like that. And I just always just remembered my Halloweens were at home, watching movies with my family, my sister, and just picking out on candy, and that was the end of it. It was never really a whole like shebang. I'm more of a Christmas girl. Anyways, besides the point. For this list that I have a mixture of some childhood favorites and then some more mature kind of Halloween movies. I guess some of them are not Halloween, more so just kind of themed in that area, if that makes sense. So it's going to be a mixture, but yeah, without talking too much more, I am just going to get straight into the video. Okay guys, so the first movie is called Hocus Pocus, and this one is from the childhood favorites, literally from my childhood vault. Hocus Pocus is a classic. I have literally been, I don't even remember the first time I watched Hocus Pocus, but I was a kid, Disney Channel. If you guys grew up if you were growing up in like the early 2000s, you know, Disney used to do Monstober. I have no idea if they do that anymore, but Hocus Pocus was always playing in October and it is a treat. It's totally fun, light, kind of has music in there. It was directed by Kenny Ortega and it's literally still, it was made in 1993 and it's still popping today. It's basically about these three witch sisters, the Sanderson sisters, and they're basically three witches that kind of get, you know, feed off the energy of young kids, and they basically end up dying a long time ago because they killed some kids, and basically it goes to 1993 where this kid from California ends up going to the old house with his sister and a girl that he likes, and they end up kind of resurrecting these three sisters, and yeah, it's just kind of about their journey and the story and all of that stuff. There's so much details to it. Just go watch the movie. It's a cute story. It's totally something that the whole family can watch together, and yeah, I totally recommend. It's a classic. Okay, so the next one is my like absolute favorites. It's actually two movies. It's Twitches 1 and 2. Love this. Again, also, I literally grew up watching this and I totally love it because it's kind of like, it has representation for girls that look a little bit more like me. Twitches 1 and 2 were everything. Tia and Tamara Moore, you probably might know them from Sister Sister. Love them. You might know Tia from the Real, or Tamara from the Real, and Tia has a YouTube channel, like a cooking YouTube channel right now, but they basically were acting on Disney Channel, and these movies are basically about two twin sisters that were separated when they were children, or like when they were at birth, and basically they're raised in the human world or whatever. They're from a magical land called Coventry. They're both princesses and they have magical powers, and basically the story picks up with them being reunited and kind of trying to figure out who they really are, while also figuring out who they are like together, but also figuring out they're sisters and there's a twin out there their whole life, and like it's a whole bunch of stuff. Also really fun, really cool movie, totally obsessed. I have no idea if the Disney Channel is still playing these movies right now. I don't watch Disney obviously, but But I feel like these movies were so good, and I just don't think Disney is there right now with the movies. I don't know. I don't think like back then was when it was poppin', is all I have to say. Anyways, the next movies that I'm going to talk about are the Halloween Town movies. I feel like everyone knows about the Halloween Town movies. Totally, again, classics. I feel like I just feel so bad for the next generation because they're just not going to know about these movies, I feel like, but I don't know. Halloween Town is basically about a girl named Marnie, and she ends up finding out on Halloween that she is actually a witch, and that her mom has been keeping this gigantic secret about her life and her mom's past life, and her grandma, and that her grandma lives in this magical land called Halloween Town or whatever. And so her and her brother and her little sister, if I remember correctly, they all get on this kind of follow their grandmother home to where she's from, and they end up following her back to Halloween Town. And it basically is a journey of like them finding out that they have magic and that they're actually witches. And it was just like a childhood favorite. Loved Halloween Town. I just, oh my God, love, 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 love. I believe there's 4 in that series. I could be wrong. It's not a one. There's Halloween Town 1, Halloween Town 2, which is like Calibur's Revenge, I think it's called. And then there's like Halloween Town High. And then there's the last one where they change the main actress. I just don't remember the name. But yeah, totally. Oh God, that's my phone, you guys. Sorry. But yeah, totally fun. Great childhood movies, something that's totally appropriate to watch with kids. And yeah, if your kids haven't seen it, why not show it to them, because they're really great. So the next movie is called Monster House. Monster House, this one is an animation. So I remember watching Monster House as a kid too. It's also during, so it's basically about a kid who ends up finding out that the house across his street is alive. And it's just a fun little creepy kind of Halloween movie to watch with you can watch with your friends. Everybody kind of knows about this house and knows the guy that lives there is kind of like creepy and old. And there's like this whole like thing about how when kids have their toys like thrown over there, they never get it back. And it's like weird because like it's almost like the house eats their toys and stuff. Like if you like have your kite go there, if you throw a ball over there, you just never get it back. And turns out the house is actually the guy who owns its wife or whatever. And it's like this whole creepy kind of thing. And it's like an adventure. Again, it's a bunch of kids that just go on a little adventure during Halloween, and they find out that the house across the street, the creepy house across the street, is actually alive. So again, this is more like a fun movie to watch with your friends. I feel like it's like an animation, but it's not like, it's interesting too, you know what I mean? So I guess I don't know if you'd like, maybe like preteens, I guess you would say you'd watch this with. I don't know if like little children, I think maybe stick with the Halloween Town and the Twitches and stuff like that for the little kids. But as far as like teens, preteens, I totally think Monster House is a fun little try. Next up is Coraline. Coraline is also a kind of Halloween-y themed movie, kind of creepy, definitely can give you a little, jitters, I guess. Coraline is basically about a young girl who moves into this house with her family and finds out there's this like other land where she goes through this creepy hiding crawl space, and she finds like this weird land where she kind of has copies of her parents there, but they're like parents that are different in a way. Like it's kind of like a perfect life for her, and it all like is kind of a fun world. It's like a reality that she loves, and it's like perfect reality for her. But then things start get a little creepy, and they have buttons for eyes, and it starts to get a little creepy. This is, again, something that I would recommend more for preteens, teens, something like that. I guess you could watch Coraline with little kids, but I think I remember watching Coraline as a child, and it kind of creeped me out. I think it was the button for eyes, like the button eyes, that kind of, messed me up a little bit. But again, I think it's a Tim Burton movie. I could be wrong, but yeah, it does have Halloweeny elements in there, and it has that creepy feel, if you know what I mean. Next up is Haunted Mansion. Haunted Mansion is an Eddie Murphy movie, and I literally have the DVD for this movie too. Haunted Mansion basically is about a family where the two parents are realtors, and they have been having some, I wouldn't say dramatic marital problems, but more so like minor marital problems where the husband is kind of just all about work, which is Eddie Murphy's character, and and the wife is just trying to rekindle their relationship and kind of have them get back on the same page, if that makes sense. And they made plans for a weekend away with their kids and ended up getting interrupted because they got a call for a job basically to sell a mansion, a gigantic big mansion that hasn't been touched. And so of course the husband is like, we have to go, we cannot pass this up, it's great for business. They end up going, and they end up going to the mansion. Super duper creepy. It's like one of those old like English houses, like dark, creepy, literally has a graveyard in the backyard. Super creepy elements. Again, it's not exactly like Halloween movie, but it has elements of like ghosts, magic, things of that nature. And yeah, basically turns out there's a bunch of ghosts living in that house, and it's very twisted what actually happens in once you get to near the end of the movie. So go check that out if you haven't heard of it. But yeah, my sister and I really love that movie, so we usually just like watch it when we're in the mood. It's a great family movie. There's kids in there. There is definitely creepy elements in there. So if you want to kind of change it up a little and try something different, and if you're a fan of Eddie Murphy, why not give it a try? Okay, guys. So the next movie that I'm going to be talking about is the Scooby-Doo movies, the ones that have Sarah Michelle Gellar in them, the girl from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, I think it's called, if I'm correct. I'm pretty sure. She basically these Scooby-Doos, there's just part 1 and part 2 with the same actors, and Scooby-Doo movies always have an element of like creepy ghost magic, stuff like that. So I figured, why not throw that in here? I loved these movies growing up, and I thought they were so fun. And hello, it's Scooby-Doo. Who doesn't love Scooby-Doo? So yeah, that's another fun choice for this time of year. The next ones are to end the childhood movies off. I have 2 of my last favorites. The first one I'm going to be talking about is Don't Look Under the Bed. Literally, this is like one of the old Disney movies that they used to play on TV. Totally loved. It's basically about a young girl who, I think her name was Frances, if I'm correct. Her name is Frances, and basically I think she was ahead in her class, and she was going to high school, and she was just kind of like really mature for her age and kind of just like grown up. She kind of grew up really fast because she was really smart. If I'm correct, I could be saying this, but I think I'm remembering this correctly. And she basically, it has to do with the boogeyman basically, and it definitely has Halloween aspects to this. Very creepy. They always played it around Halloween time, and it was just, one of my favorites growing up. Definitely does. I will say though, the boogeyman costume that they had in there really fucking creeped me out. Excuse my friend. When I was watching this as a kid, like the weird hands. Oh, if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. The next one is called My Mom is Dating a Vampire, and this was also one of the oldies that they used to play on Disney around Halloween time. Really loved it. It was just basically pretty self-explanatory. It was about a mom who has like 3 kids, and she meets this guy, and it was kind of the kids who set her up with this guy, because they kind of wanted the mom off their back because she was such like super helicopter parent, always watching over them, and they just kind of wanted her to kind of have her own life. So they set her up with a guy, and he ends up being a vampire. And so now the kids are freaking out because they obviously don't want their mom to, have her blood sucked. So now they're just trying to kind of get this vampire to go away, but he's kind of set his eyes on her, and it just turns into a whole thing where they're trying to figure out how to get rid of this guy. But yeah, that is pretty much all of the childhood Halloween movies that I have for you guys. Now on to the more mature ones. First one is Practical Magic, and I love this movie. It has to do with witchcraft and witches, and it's basically about, and it has an aspect of love in there, and Nicole Kidman and Sandra Bullock are both in this movie, and you probably have seen it because they used to play this on TV. They still play this on TV all the time. Around this time of year. It basically starts out with their family, just talking about their family, kind of their family history, and about a witch that was scorned a long time ago, and a curse she kind of put on her bloodline, where all the women in her family don't get to fall in love, and when they get to the most happiest, or they do fall in love, but when they get to the most happiness, the happiest part of their life, they end up losing their husbands, or and they're left alone, and they usually just have two girls, and the cycle just repeats itself. So it has the two sisters, so I don't quite remember their names, to be honest, but it follows Sandra Bullock's character and Nicole Kidman, they're sisters, and so Nicole Kidman's character is a little bit rambunctious, wild child, living life, enjoying life kind of sister, and then Sandra Bullock's character is more so kind of reserved, a little calmer, and she's the one who ends up falling in love and finding happiness and having a family, and that all goes to shit because of the curse, and her husband ends up dying in an accident, and she's left to raise her daughters on her own with the help of her two aunts. So like I said, the curse goes on and on. I think it's a really cute, beautiful story, and I would totally, like, if it's something you haven't tried before, maybe try it. It definitely has creepy elements in there, so definitely very Halloweeny. So yeah, check it out. I think it's just a fun kind of, I used to actually be scared of this movie, to be honest, when I think I might have seen it like when I wasn't exactly really old, but I remember there's a one part in that film, the makeup that they did on the guy kind of was really creepy, and it freaked me out. But yeah, if you're old enough, totally go check it out. I think it's a great, fun, mature Halloween movie to watch. The next one is Carrie. Carrie is a remake. I'm talking about the remake, not the original. I have seen the original. I don't like it that much. I prefer the remake. The remake has Chloe Grace Moretz, I believe. Yeah, Chloe Grace Moretz. It's basically just the same as the first movie. It's about a girl that basically was raised in a very religious house by a single mom, and the mom does not inform her about anything. She's just very strict, very religious, and she gets severely bullied in school, and she ends up having some really creepy abilities, and basically kind of gets revenge on all the people that bully her. But if you know the Carrie story, you know the Carrie story. Really creepy. Involves blood, involves a lot of mess. But yeah, it's another Halloween recommend if you want to try it out if you haven't seen it, but I'm pretty sure everyone has seen Carrie. Moving right along, Orphan is basically about a little girl that is adopted into a family, and it's really creepy, actually. It's kind of like a really creepy movie, and she's adopted into a family, and there are just like little things about her that are just odd, and you kind of just see it going through the movie, and then later on there's a big reveal that is really creepy and slightly disturbing. So this is definitely a movie I would recommend for more of an older crowd. So when I say mature, I really mean mature. So if you're into something really creepy and like darker, this is something that I might recommend for you. The next one is The Craft. I have seen The Craft and I kind of loved it. It involves basically it centers around a group of friends that are in school. It starts off with a girl that goes to is starting at a new Catholic school, and she meets these girls, and these girls have some abilities, and they're creepy and witchy, and again, some Halloween themes in there. This one is set in high school, and so if you're into that, this is definitely maybe something you might want to, watch with your friends, cousins, something like that. It's definitely about witches, and some creepy stuff happens in that. The next one I have is not really a Halloween movie, but it does, like I said, have elements of Halloween themes in there. And it is actually a book series that turned into a movie and it's called Beautiful Creatures. I really love this movie, and it's definitely something that I've watched multiple times with my sister. It unfortunately was not able to get a second movie, which is unfortunate because I really liked the first movie. I have not read the books, but I do want to read the books because I really want to know what happens to the characters. Beautiful Creatures follows a young girl who has moved to a new town, and she's basically, her family is kind of known for the family that has witchcraft. It's a southern town, so the stereotypes about southerns, they're very religious, and she's kind of her whole family's kind of looked down upon in that town, even though her family's pretty wealthy or whatever. And she's basically called a caster. She ends up falling in love with a boy named Ethan, who, it has elements of romance in there. So like, if you're, you know me, if you've watched my videos, I love romance books, romance movies. So this is definitely something that I love, and I really do want to read the rest of the books, or read the books, because I want to know, like I said, about what happens to the characters. But yeah, she ends up falling in love with a boy named Ethan, and they basically, he finds out that she's a caster or witch or whatever you want to call it, and they kind of are navigating their way through the relationship, but also kind of, this thing called the claiming, that's going to claim her on her birthday, and it basically claims her for the light or for the dark. It's a really cool movie. I would definitely recommend watching. Like I said, it's not a Halloween typical movie, but there are elements of magic in there, so you might enjoy it. So the next one is called Crimson Peak, and this is definitely a creepy movie, and I only watched this on TV like in 2019, I believe, and it was playing on TV around this time last year, and it's basically it's really creepy. It involves a creepy house, dark, creepy themed, creepy mansion, creepy like outfits, and like everything about it is really, really creepy and just kind of gets you in the Halloweeny mood. The story follows a young girl who is a writer. She ends up marrying this man who is, I guess you would say, sort of wealthy, and he has this house, but he also has this creepy little relationship with his sister that is just, Tom Hiddleston, I believe, is in the movie. So it's a lot to unpack. There's a lot in that film that's kind of just surprising at the end, especially like surprising at the end and everything like that. But if you guys want to try it and check it out, it's definitely for this season. Okay guys, so the next movie is Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice is considered a classic. They always played on TV around this time. It is basically follows a couple named Adam and Barbara, if I remember correctly, and they basically died and they end up being ghosts, and they kind of just, their ghosts kind of stay in their house. They never leave. And then a family ends up moving into their house, and they don't like that, obviously. So they try to kind of scare them out, which they are unsuccessful with. So they seek out the help of Beetlejuice, this creepy guy that's kind of really great at scaring people. And that's basically kind of what the story is. And you kind of just see them kind of wanting to get these people out of their house, but also you kind of see the connection they had built with the daughter in the family also. But that's pretty much everything on Beetlejuice. The next movie that I have, and the last one, is Rebecca. This movie came out this year, just like a few days ago, like 2 days ago, I believe. And it's about a woman who works as a companion for an older rich woman. And she is basically on vacation with her, but her I guess the woman she works for gets sick, and she ends up basically sick in her room and can't leave. So the companion just seeks out fun for herself. She ends up going to a cafe, meeting this rich, handsome man, and she ends up falling in love with him. They end up spending time together, and surprisingly, they get married, and they end up going to his house, and it's a creepy house, and there are elements of Halloween in this movie because of the ghost of his ex-wife. So when you're watching the movie, you can kind of see that he's not over his ex-wife, but then you get a totally surprise ending in the end. I liked the movie. It was kind of interesting, definitely kind of gets you in the mood with the creepy for this month. But yeah, it stars Lily James, if I believe, and Armie Hammer, if I got his name right. Lily James. If you don't know who I'm talking about, the chick that plays Cinderella in the Disney live action. Okay guys, that's pretty much everything for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. I think I pretty much covered everything. These are all my favorite Halloween movies. Let me know in the comments if you try any of these out on Halloween. I'd love to hear about what you're doing this Halloween. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like and subscribe down below. It really helps me out. And I will see you guys all in the next one. Bye!